respective maps.
Yeah, look, I think that you probably wouldn't have anticipated Sprout and LYNGBY Vikings yesterday to be into this position, but we're here. They won their opening best of ones, while, we didn't quite see like a 16-5, a 16-6 Sompa. We did see some quite close affair from both of these teams, but there's some history between these two, and only very recently as well.
Absolutely, indeed. Yeah, we got to see Sprout versus LYNGBY Vikings in a best-of-3 context previously during Snow Sweet, Snow #1, actually. I can't remember what stage of the tournament that was, but it was a best-of-3, and we saw actually go to the way of the Sprout side, and it was, as well as that, a very close result. So, compounding the fact that we just saw them beat out the likes of Forza, considering the fact that we've seen them take a close matchup against Sprout in the past, they've had some opportunities to take a look at the series that they played against this team. Obviously, might be a little bit underprepared, considering they just got invited the other day into this group. So I wonder how much research they've got coming into this one, but if history tells us anything, this could be a really close map.
It could be. It went 3 maps last time. Both the individual scorelines on all maps were very, very close. And you've just got to think that this is a bit of a revenge. That was actually the best-of-3 that knocked LYNGBY Vikings out of that tournament. Now going forward, this is a chance of maybe not knocking Sprout out, but actually progressing into the playoffs. Like you just mentioned there, Jay, the opening or the upper bracket best-of-3, winner goes on to the playoffs, loser goes down into that lower bracket final, where we'll have to wait and see how the losers do tomorrow, but that's always an information for another day. Jumping into this best-of-3, I think for Sprout, right, we need to see their head switched on. I thought they did that in opening best-of-1 against Ethereal. While it was a victory, there were certainly some rounds and some plays that I saw from them that I really wasn't too keen on.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I think I used the term lackadaisical quite a lot today, and I think that definitely describes the game from Sprout. Like, it was just so overconfident at times. They were pushing forward quite a lot to areas they really shouldn't have been. It felt half-hearted, I think, from this team, and I think that's partly because they were expecting to easily dispatch Vex Ethereal, which almost came back to bite them in the arse. So I'm hoping that they're looking switched on in this particular matchup. It's a best-of-3 matchup, so they'll have a little bit of extra breathing room, but as well as that, it's the most important one of the day. And you can see the vetoes up on screen. Dust 2 picked by Sprout, the first map of the series. Vertigo picked by the Vikings, the second map of the series. And Nuke being the decider. I'm very happy we get to see Nuke in at that last map, because that is where LYNGBY Vikings can really strike. But all in all, it's the exact same map ups from the previous series.
Yeah, it's exactly the same. I don't know whether LYNGBY Vikings were anticipating the video to be exactly the same, but you've got to think for the Danes, right? Like, surely you would have liked to have had a bit of a different angle rather than just play the same maps again. Like, obviously they've got something up their sleeve. Sprout would be happy to play the exact same 3 maps again, but I am surprised that it's not even like one map is different, Jay. Like, every map is exactly the same, and it is going to be Nuke as the third again. It's a mirror image.
Oh, not quite, actually. Yeah, Vertigo was the first map played in the last best-of-3 that they played against each other.
So one was first rather than second.
No, but other than that, it's basically the exact same thing. Just the case that Sprout get the first pick this time. And they get the first advantage from our odds at paramatch.com. You can see the odds at the bottom third of the screen. A bit of an advantage for them, I guess. Coming into this one, I guess you could expect that as well. Again, this is a team that we described as being at the top end of Tier 2 for the longest time in the world. And, they will be favorites expected just coming in off the basis of who they are. LYNGBY Vikings, however, they're on the rise, and they've been doing some real good stuff lately. And all those maps in the previous series went to double digits. So I think there's a lot of adjustment room that they can make, and there's a lot of adjustments that they can do to try and turn the maps to their favor. This actually could be a really close series in this one, Dwight.
And look, that's what we're hoping for, right? The one thing that we love to see in the EDC is some really close affairs. Some of the quote-unquote development teams or up-and-coming rosters actually putting, some decent performances forward, going pound for pound against Sprout. Because, look, LYNGBY Vikings are borderline top 30, Sprout are borderline top 20. And you've got to think, even though the head-to-head went the way of Sprout last time, they are going to be the favorites again. They are the stronger team. They've got more experience. But I really want to see them playing some good CS. We have seen it in the past. We have seen them play a really dominant Counter-Strike, especially in that Snow Sweet Snow tournament. They went all the way to the playoffs, where they were the ones that eliminated the LYNGBY Vikings. And you just have a look at some of those players up on screen. You've got the experience in the likes of Speedy and Dennis. You've got the new AWP player coming in from Slacks only recently in this lineup. Something we kind of spoke about in the pregame for this entire day is that all lineups here in the EDC and Group D have made roster changes in 2021.
Yeah, mentioned that pretty frequently over the course of the day so far, and definitely one thing to look out for is how well these roster moves will do. They did okay enough, I think, for Sprout in the last map up. Again, it just got them the victory, but going further forward again, we'll see how well these rosters play out. As for LYNGBY, I mean, we've talked about them in great depth. We talked about them in great detail, and we're excited to see how well they'll be able to do. I've got to put your prediction on this one, Blake. Do you think Sprout are going to replicate performances? Do you think it's going to be a three-map fair one more time? Do you think LYNGBY Vikings can turn the situation around? For me, I think it will all come down to Dust 2. If they can win Dust 2, then I think they can take the series.
Yeah, I'm thinking 2-1 over from Sprout. I just think for LYNGBY Vikings, they're really going to have to play something special. They're really going to have to show me some dominance if they want to take the likes of Sprout down in a best-of-3 series. So I think it will go 3 maps. I don't think there's a potential that either of these two teams can win it in 2, but I'm expecting quite a close affair, and I'm expecting some really big duels coming through from both of them.
Well, here we go. Pistol round start on Dust 2. Sprout on the T side. LYNGBY picking to CT. We get straight into the rush tactic. Is this just going to be a B play immediately out with Cressy leading the charge? I mean, they got utility, but it's just fast plays in, and Rylak's going to see what's going on. USP flashed out, completely blinded, but so are the T-side. LYNGBY from Skyker coming into the trade, and Spinny trades it right back to a 4v3 scenario.
Nicely done from Sprout to overwhelm the anchors at B and even cut off the rotation. LYNGBY Vikings trying to come in for the retake. Now, they do have a kit with a couple of flashes in from Rouse, but it's Slacks that's maintaining the control in the upper tunnels.
Yeah, P250 standing by. Ready for someone to face in Fascia, and he may have been spotted right there. Speedy with the Glock close. Oh, tap up from Slacks directly to the dome of Fascia, coming up with that kill. NATO Safix pressing forward from the window position. LYNGBY Vikings trying their best to get into the site, but they're out of time and out of chances in this one. This will be a pistol going the way of the Sprout side. Nice start on T. LYNGBY unable to hold down that B bomb site. The rush was way too quick. The flashbangs placed so perfectly. And Sprout taking the pistol.
Really confident coming out from Sprout to start off their T-side half. And look, this is their map pick. We expect some dominance from them, and we saw it straight away. Really nicely done. They just go into B really quickly. You mentioned the util. The flashes were just placed perfectly. They overwhelm completely. And as soon as they have that 4-on-3, I like that even for the P250 of Slacks, rather than staying aggressive in the upper tunnels, even falls back and gets a really nice shoulder peek onto that rotate coming in from the tunnels. So, first round up for the Germans. And LYNGBY Vikings, I'm trying to see if they can contest this long challenge. Just a lot of players lined up for this flashbang.
Flash is not blind off the T side for much longer. Counter flashback in will allow Fascia to fall. Dennis with that blind kill. And Speedy following suit on Rylak, leaving Birth of Sky and Rolls. The last 2 players left. Now making it Rules standing alone here on the B-bomb site, and the long challenge has gone efficiently for Sprout. Hunting down this last player, but they can just walk straight into the site. They'll start to realize that soon. There's plenty of time for them to play with as well. So for Rawls, it's just the case of getting whatever exits he can find.
Isn't it interesting, too, that Sprout started off with an international lineup. They went completely German. Then they went international. And now they've gone back to German. And LYNGBY Vikings were Danish and now have gone slightly international. So we have seen for the respected organizations, right, some shifts, I suppose, in terms of the culture and the players that they've had in this team. Sprout have been a team that have been around for a very, very long time. It was like the old Penta to Seed lineup that they ended up signing, wasn't it? I remember that they were in the E-League Major Qualifier, I want to say, in 2018 or 2017. No, maybe 2018, I'm thinking. No, maybe it was 2017.
Sounds about right, I think.
Yeah, I think it was Atlanta rather than Boston.
Better in that respect. Marvin, ooh, jumping up. Bird from Sky, what was that? Got support from Fascia, but the adjustment, he thought he was at lower tunnels, he was on Xbox, and somehow he got that kill. What happened there?
Well, he really was looking at the sky at one point. Like, that was such a sick flick up towards the Xbox angle. And LYNGBY Vikings have really found a way to turn this around in their favor now going into the opening rifle. A 5-on-3 advantage. Sprouts just might have to try and see their luck at just going in for a B-side Xe. There are 2 players here on the defense from Rylax and Rouse, but there's not a lot of utility between them, only flashes.
Smoke on a B door, Sprout indicating they want to go towards that B site. A third man's going to rotate to join the defensive of Rules and Rylax. In fact, putting an incendiary down. That's going to perfectly stall for them. They're going to have to rush straight through as soon as the flames clear. Molotov also set for Speedy as well towards the big box. Flashes in, Rylax evades it, spray through, catches one, not quite that second man. One player tagged up heavily purple sky, can come through to finish off with a triple kill and finish off the first round for LYNGBY Vikings.
Oh, what a hold for the big man. That was such a sick play to start off from LYNGBY Vikings. The AWP from NATO Safix completely blind on the long corner challenge, finds that first shot. Then we see Bird from Sky with a very awkward duel, turns a 5-on-3, and then just the utility placement down towards the upper tunnels. Great timing on that incendiary, swings on the contact when the execution comes through, and LYNGBY Vikings have started off with their opening rifle round going their way.
Pretty brilliant start at that. Real good plays there from Bird from Sky, and now an AK for his rewards. The Orps out, of course, brought back down for the Sprout side. LYNGBY Vikings have an AWP of their own in NATO Safix. He was the first player to kill off one. Now looking towards the mid controls, the long presence is gained from Bird from Sky. It's going to be short presence, however, from Sprout. They're basically set up for an ace execution from this angle.
A very heavy sort of retake setup towards the A site from LYNGBY Vikings. Great peek in from NATO Safix. Dennis caught off just crossing out from the mid doors. And now even bringing a second player over to that A site from CT of NATO. Trying to post him up on that car angle to deal with the short presence. Now bringing two players over. And they're starting to clear out the longhouse too. This is good information gathering from LYNGBY Vikings.
Smokes down, Molotov at the ready, incendiary to counter from the CT side. Sprouts. Spitty setting up the utility. Farben is very low for this execution. Two flashes over, they'll catch one player blind. Force them back away from car. The AWP is watching the default plant position. They better go for the short plant if they want to maintain control of this round. They'll drop down towards CT, so they'll cover off a couple of rotations, but it's retake mode from LYNGBY.
Oh, Cressy just stuck in the open. He was almost in hesitation, Jay. Wasn't sure if he wanted to completely over-aggress and just get stuck in the open. Two players now peeking out from that short position, and it's falling apart so quickly. Fast now, aggressive from short. Does find that first kill, but an instant trade comes out. Speedy now, 1v4. His best bet might just be able to try and hold on to this AK, but it won't happen. LYNGBY Vikings with a great retake. And even look at the disciplinary factor there for NATO Safix. They've got a 5-on-4. Rather than him holding from car, he just backs off towards a long challenge, and they just give up the bomb site from Sprout and retake with the advantage.
Yeah, very nicely done there from LYNGBY. They will concede the bomb plant bonus to Sprout, sure, but, you know, they're still looking okay in terms of the buybacks of their own right. The T side have the weaponry to work with. They were going to have the weaponry to work with anyway. They've got money to delve into. Limited utility sets, however, so that could be something that they could have had to their favor, but either way, the round picking up for LYNGBY Vikings. That's what they need the most right now. They are not in the lead. That might be about to change the next round or two. All right, now Sprout forced away from the longhouse. Again, early damage done to Farben on this opening phase. No duel that goes the way of a kill. The Bird from Sky is going to stick around this position, kind of hunt for it, but no T-side player wants to re-aggress to this position.
Yeah, he needs to be careful here. If he keeps jump spotting, the AWP might be able to find a bit of an angle onto him. We see Slacks repositioning to the back car position outside of the long control. And LYNGBY Vikings haven't really seen much aggression from them on the CT side, really. You know, they haven't gone for an aggressive short peek. They haven't really taken upper tunnels control. Something that we saw Sprout doing a fair bit in their opening best of 1J was getting quite aggro on the city side.
.5 seconds remaining. Fasher watching at the edge of the smoke for some T-side presence to pop out here from Sprout. The flashbang catches him perfectly blind, falling away, looking towards CT. Counter flash comes in pretty perfectly as well. They're just using all the utility they can. They've got only a handful of flashes left, but they're timed so well against Sprout. 25 seconds and the T's have got to act at this stage. LYNGBY Vikings.
It's a
now
fake,
seeing those smokes come through. You're right about that, but it's still two players on the B-side defense, and they're going to get caught off on the rotation, so they can't really go towards the A play. No bait and switch. Rawls will get one kill. Cressy with a frag back. AWP completely smoked off angle, so it's all on Rylax. Here on the platform, gets that first kill. AWP faces the bomb, gets dropped. So long as he gets Dennis, he's going to win the round. No, there's no time. Rylax securing the back line so well. Cressy will clean up 2 more from CT, but it's one player that was the difference maker on the CT side.
That's too slow. It's too slow for Sprout. They fake out the short commitment, end up going mid to B, and you could just see it. It was textbook. Dennis was the lurk in the upper tunnels. He had not moved off that position. You know straight away that Sprout leaning into that B side, and for Rylax, it was just a really great hold from the Xbox position. Dropping 2 players and that bomb, that was the crucial element. And for Sprout, you've got to think, you know, maybe if they went for that play 10, 15 seconds earlier than they did, then maybe they do trade out Rylax and eventually get that post plant in. But with the time as limited as it was, that was a solo play that ended up being a victory.
Hero of the round, Rylax. Once he dropped that bomb, it was round over. Sprout taking their sweet time with this. We've seen some very, very low timer executions from these guys in this map, and of course in the best of 1 as well. Taking more damage to the Vikings side as the HE lands perfectly on Farben. 35 points of health for him. Re-smoke back at the CT forces. The AWP hoping to catch something here, but it's going to block them off from the short angle as well. They can't peer into it.
Yeah, nice damage to start off with the util from the HE. Sprout, ooh, just trying to walk through this mid-smoke. Rylax is just around the corner, and there's another 2 players at this B side. This is another good read from LYNGBY Vikings.
Smoke at CT, Rylax with the incendiary, perfectly placed. AWP shot down first and foremost. Perfect flash in from NATO. Safix gives Rylax a triple. Spitty will trade it back, but that bomb in the open, seen there by NATO, grabs that orb, turns it on for a frag. And while Cressy's left alone in this one, 25 seconds, the CTs are creeping up right behind him. They've seen that bomb. They know he's got to be here in this corner. There's no other way. Flash in, turned away. Fasher looking for the exit. Cressy will be able to trade him back. But there's Bird from Sky to close it out from the back lines. And there we go, a 4th for LYNGBY Vikings. Very similar to their best of 1 result. Lose the first pistol and 2 conversions, and then right back in with a lead.
Now, do make sure to check out our partner at hellcase.com. Use promo codes up on screen to save more and grab what you deserve only at hellcase.com. Some really nice cases from all different price ranges, so do make sure to get involved, bolster up your inventory. Now, one thing you mentioned with that best of 1 context, Jay, think about their momentum. It seems like LYNGBY Vikings are very much a momentum-based team. They won, what, 9 rounds in a row on that T side once they started getting going in that first half against Forza. This is now 4 rounds in a row for them on their CT basis, and another play out towards a B site looks to be on the cards from Sprout.
And UG facing, flash is over. They tried a very fast play earlier on in this matchup. It worked well, but this time it's going to get shut the hell down by Rules. Dato stacking to the AWP pick towards mid. Dennis will find a swing. Slacks will get Rules as well. So 3-on-2, trades are good. Nades coming up real quick, though. Dennis barely evaded getting killed off, but he'll get the bomb plant in his solo HP for a 3v2 retake favor of the Vikings.
Oh, that's a big play from Slacks, though. There's a lot of utility for the CTs to work with, but now it's back to a 2 versus 2. The attention pulled away. The flash comes in, and the timing's perfect. Dennis is now at a 1 versus 2, needs to try and isolate both of these fights, coming in from 2 very different angles. And NATO Safix is slowing it down out from the window position. Now coming in from the doors, they know where Dennis is, and Bird from Sky is going to clutch again for LYNGBY Vikings. Pick up the AWP and win the retake to get 5 rounds in a row. The streak continues for the Danes.
I mean, well played there from the T side to be able to adjust that. A 3v2 scenario. I mean, at one point it was a 5v2 scenario, in fact.
Yeah.
3 kills coming in from the Vikings, the damage being done, Dennis evading those HEs, and then, of course, getting those trades on the site players, then turning up on the tunnels and angle. It's a shame that the AWP was what was facing towards the upper tunnels, because if it was the AK, I think they probably could have won that there. Sprout, with the bomb plant bonus, will still get the AKs out. A scout in for Slacks to be a weaker investment weapon. And a 1 player coming out of the gates, the incendiaries onto the blue box. Dennis has already smoked it off. Flashes go over, catching 1 player blind. Doesn't matter because Flash is still here to take down the bomb planter. Does get traded. AWP still here for NATO, takes it back. 4 versus 3 scenario. Looks to be good.
They still know there's a player towards blue bin, so once that smoke starts to dissipate, they can start to smoke off the longhouse corner, and they are. Now Dennis is so far in the open, he's got no more support, and they're even trying to hunt him down. A little bit of an edge from Bird from Sky, and now it's a 4v2. Great play there out from the CT side, but they haven't come into account the short play. Farfan with his head down, trying to cross over to pick up some support.
So long as they hold off this bomb from the longhouse, they should be okay. And as well as that, Farvan got a kill on towards 1 player at CT, so they know that he's here somewhere.
Yeah.
There's a player actually at the CT spawn that's ready to watch him cross out. So they have info on both the remaining Sprout players. So long as they don't do anything silly, they should be able to lock out a trade. Maybe they could lose the player at CT, which would probably open up the round for Sprout, but... Or pick in, missed out for Nato, refaces back, so he slacks again, turns away to avoid the flashbang. Both players held towards these corners. They know that Slacks is in that corner. They just need to face together.
Rouse, if he could deal with the short player, this round's finished. There's no way Slacks is going to win it. Crossover. Eyes locked towards CT. A big kill from Farfan now.
Oh, bird from Sky, a risky peek, just managed to get the kill together. All on Farm in the face, this 15 seconds, he's out of time. Trying to bait in the AWP shot, but Nato holds perfect trigger discipline to take the kill at the right moment. And gets 6 in a row for LYNGBY Vikings right now. The odds once again go back to an even standing. Actually, more so favored to LYNGBY Vikings. Remember, this is a map pick of Sprout, by the way. They decided on Dust too, so if LYNGBY Vikings are leading, that's a good sign. If they can take the map out right, then that probably would be a real good possibility for a 2-0 series for them.
But I'm just, my mind is reminding me back to, this is a bit of a rivalry, right? NATO Suffix used to play on Sprout with Percy when they had like a bit of a Danish lineup with the Germans too, with Dennis and Spitty. So this is certainly some ultimate revenge, I suppose, for NATO Suffix to take down his old teammates. But LYNGBY Vikings are really starting to get going now on this CT side. Ooh, Bird from Sky has got at least Cressy very close to him. And, well, the opening kill ends up going the way of the T's.
Wasn't quite ready for that one. Utility in hand and everything, and just getting taken down for it. And Slitty on towards the short control as well. Incendiary's back from the CT side to try and stop any sort of short take. Got players to worry about towards long though, so Fasher's got a hell of a lot of a task ahead of him. AWP of Nato, faced in by the scout of Slacks. Flashbang keeps him blind. Scout shot missed out, so does the AWP. Eventually Slacks turns onto the kill through the smoke. 2-0 trade. Finally Fasher chimes in, but Slacks still has these scout shots. Speedy gets rules as well, and Rylax is left alone in a 1 versus 4. The damage being done to the Vikings means that the buy is going to look awkward for the next round, and as Sprout look to eco them out of round 10, this is going to be a crippling one. They have to save the M4.
Yeah, they just don't have an option here. Hold on to the weapon. Money is incredibly low. You know what? They might actually be on double eco status. They're on single round loss bonus of 1,400. They'll probably have to force around this M4. There's no money.
Yeah.
So this is a way back in for Sprout on their map pick of Dust 2 to really start maintaining some control. The LYNGBY Vikings are going to be struggling here. They're going to be on, what, Deagles and body armor, really. Yeah, it doesn't look good.
Maybe Rylax could buy something, drop for a teammate.
He could drop an M4, potentially a couple of MP9s if he wants.
What do they fancy here, LYNGBY? Passing that M4 off to Fasher.
Another
Buying
M4.
an M4. Okay, so 2 main rifles set for the CT camp, which is fair enough. The Eagles USPs. The Eagle back for NATO Suffix. And the CT side, very broken by scenario, but still with a forced buy situation. If Sprout aren't careful, then could get hurt even more so than their own eco in the last round. So default set, very spread apart for this one. Towards the lower tunnels control and the mid positions as well. No CT want to challenge those angles.
Yeah, Sprout probably realized that the economy is relatively low. Oh, Cressy just getting spammed. He just gets out of there in time. If they swing any further, they'll peek straight into the AWP. Even with that flashbang coming through, Slacks finds that first shot. And LYNGBY Vikings, they realize on a bit of a scrappy buy that they've got to make a play. And maybe they just extended a little bit too far there.
I think they got rid of that M4 as well on the T sides. That's one of the crucial rifles taken out of play. If they had gotten the kill on Cressy, fair enough, but a second CT with a pistol should have been there to pick up the rifle in case something went wrong. And yeah, overextension to face right into the AWP, gets shut down. And now, got all come down on Fasher here towards the ramp control to hold off from the defensive. There's no utility for him. No utility that can back him up. The other player from Bird from Sky's got the flashbang over. Smokes on. Long control, Molotov set to the Goose corner. Further Molly's back over towards ramp, will force him away, and they're just going to go passive on this one. Is this a save call from LYNGBY Vikings? I mean, they're going to go back for the hunt to the rifle, but yeah, it has been gotten rid of by the T side, so there's not much that they can do in this round.
Yeah, just take the next one as a bit of an eco, really, saving the weapons. I mean, going for a retake in a 4v5 is just not worth it. Maybe if they got that pick on a Cretsy and they had another rifle, then there's a chance, but it's so many what-ifs. I think the outcome here is just hold on to the weapons, bring it into the next. Sprout getting closer and closer to now trying to tie up the scoreline. And sometimes that's just what you need, right? We know that there is that reset potential with the economy if you keep the rounds close, and there is a bit of a streak going. So for Sprout, although that they were down sort of 3-6, and it was looking like it was starting to get very convincing from LYNGBY Vikings, this can be the turnaround point for Sprout where maybe they don't get a lead, but they at least make it a lot more competitive and try and keep the scoreline as close as possible getting into that second half.
To cast our minds back to the last Dust 2 that these two teams played, it was an 8-7 half when LYNGBY Vikings started things off on CT side.
Very close.
It was down to their lack of a T-side basis, which is really what cost them in this one, and Sprout making a very similar story happen here today. Deagle set, the M4's out, of course, tapped onto the back lines of the site. Flash is evaded. Deagle up for roll, sees Farvern, gets that kill in with the Deagle play. Rylax will fall back, Flash has continued to face forward, Rolls goes down, and Bird from Sky domes Dennis as Fasher gets traded back, 3 versus 2. NATO's still sat here towards Car, by the way. They haven't accounted for him. Will they check this corner? No, they won't. Speedy's going to pay for it as a result. Slack's also faced, Deagle's facing together. One out kill comes through, and NATO Suffix clutches the round. LYNGBY Vikings. How have they done that?
Well, Sprout didn't check that car angle. Well, at least they checked it for the first play. It was a bait and switch setup. We saw a completely blind Rouse just spamming through with that Deagle. And once he gets pulled out into the open, they just kind of expect car to be completely open and no one's there. I'm very surprised they didn't continue out their default like they have done for the last couple of rounds, instead going in for a quicker play to B. AWP not quite finding the connection out from Longhouse. A lot quicker from Sprout towards his long position.
Ops on from Slacks, looking down at the mid control. Can't see anything of the CT forces here in this default for round 13. Sprout so limited on their buybacks. The utility is very, very shaky for them. LYNGBY in possession of the whole control of the map up right now, spread across the 3-1-1 split, favored to the A site. A lot of players expected towards the short control, but it's super passive from Sprout all the same.
Yeah, they've gained that opening long control. Something that we haven't seen Sprout do a lot is just go for the cross smokes or just even have a walk up to long. The NATO Suffix playing quite a wide angle, so a chance for just the T's to swing, but he does have the information at least on the jiggle peak, but it goes both ways because Cressy would have spotted him that wide on the angle.
35 seconds. Smoke down towards the cross. NATO ready and waiting to receive. Dennis still lurking in pit, goes out of his periphery, takes him down. And Bird from Sky in the midst of the smoke, blind firing on everybody, but can't seem to catch off any sort of damage. 15 seconds and LYNGBY have the bomb plant. At least they're going to try for it. Bird from Sky, jump facing, doing so much damage to Farvin. Eventually he will burn to Fasher. So 4v4, the trade is good. The retake is now on.
They expect a player out from Card. No wallbang shots have come in just yet, but there's certainly a player there. 4v4, retake mode. That car player still hasn't peeked out to the open. Finally, the info's come out, and now it's an advantage back in favor of the CT side, and they even swing onto Slacks in pit. A lovely swing coming out from Bird from Sky, and LYNGBY Vikings get away with a sensational retake after Sprout did so much right. Dennis, who was in the pit for a massive long time, as soon as those cross smokes come through, he swings, like you said, outside of the peripheral. NATO goes down, man advantage comes through, and LYNGBY Vikings are just really setting themselves up on the retake.
Tactical pause. In for the Sprout side. Just realizing that this one has definitely not gone their way, not in the way that they hoped it would, not in the way that they expected it would. LYNGBY Vikings keeping up the fight into round 14. It will be a rebuy coming in from the T's, but Max lost bonus, have to rest on that to try and get the buyback for the next round after that, and there are going to be some players that don't have enough money. On a really, really shaky position right now, Sprout. 8-5 to the board. LYNGBY on for one more to do better than their first CT half against Sprout. AWP in for Farfan. Oh, holds face, but still doesn't get the kill on the overextending AK. Gets tagged to 11 HP. Cressy follows suit with a HE to the face. That is an insane amount of damage done.
Yeah, look, if you're going to sit in an incendiary like that on the long challenge, you've got to be capitalizing on the shot, and it doesn't come out. A follow-up nade comes through to just do further damage onto Sprout. LYNGBY Vikings looking very confident on this CT side. It's really coming down to some of their individual plays. I know the Bird from Sky's been putting up some big numbers. Certainly did in that best of one as well. Going in for what looks to be just a split in towards the A site. Short control being taken, nothing aggressive out towards the A site from LYNGBY Vikings. NATO was playing out from Car, but now looking to slow peek in towards short.
Flash is over, we're going to keep them suppressed. They can't really push out from the A-bomb site as of right now. Sprout. Catch one play with the edge of the smoke. Bird from Sky overextending. The AWP of NATO can't strike back either. Re-smokes down. He's going to re-aggress, however. How much is he going to find with this? He's got the entire T-side force to deal with. They could line up. He gets himself 2 kills. At the edge of the smoke, he doesn't catch another. The flashbang keeps him blind, but he fires anyway. He's getting a shot. And it is NATO Suffix with the most insane short hold I've seen in a very long time. That was a huge play!
That's got to be play of the tournament. It's got to be, right? He is blind for the third shot, gets that flash in for a little bit more safety, scopes back in. Oh, even a no-scope on the last one. What was that from NATO Suffix? An ace all by himself. What a play from LYNGBY Vikings.
Oh my word! Sprout! Back straight in with a double-up spray. Trying to get back into confidence into round 15, but NATO's still lurking. He's going to get shut down here in this round, very early on in the round. 5 versus 2. Rylax does find a trade back on Dennis at least, but they've got full A-site access from here to Hagen. It's a bit of a shame the fact that that kind of ace, that kind of ridiculous round is followed up by a very poor showing from the Vikings. So at least we could be seeing 3 rounds the difference here on this scoreline.
Yeah, Sprout found really the perfect return. After losing to a play like that, they just go into round 15 looking so much more confident. The opening kills are fantastic, and only 1 kill gets back in return for the CTs. So Sprout end the half on a bit of a positive. They end it with a single round, but it is still a 9-6 lead up for the Danes, who have, shown some impressive moments for sure. And shown some very consistent moments too. You have a look at that streak of 6 in a row, then 3 in a row towards the back end of that first half. And unfortunately, while there was a little bit of chaos in that last round, it did seem like a player disconnected. So hopefully, Jay, we'll get back involved very quickly.
Poor man. Okay. A moment's respite. A moment to just calm things down. Let's get into the state of Zen. Just because, oh my goodness, that was such a ridiculous play. Like, I have not seen something that good in a while. Like, that was probably one of the best AWP plays I think I've ever personally casted. Oh, geez, that's had me reeling. That really has had me reeling, Blake. But for LYNGBY, it's still a T-side coming up in the second half. And the thing about this is that they have struggled on T-side consistently on Dust 2. Yeah. The last time that they played against the Sprout side, they got 4 rounds total on their T-side, which ended up with 12 rounds overall because they got an 8-round CT side. Let's see if I can get the words out there. But coming into this one, like, they've got to have that same sort of level of confidence from NATO translated across all those players. And Sprout, Definitely have been rocked. Still, the odds favor to the LYNGBY Vikings. 1.5 to 2.48 on the money line. 2.3 now, actually. They just slightly go a little bit even. But you can get your bonus for the first deposit by clicking the banner underneath the Twitch channel. Up to 100% bonus on your first deposit in some regions of the world. Only at paramatch.com. Dweg, where do you see this one going?
You know what? I still reckon there is a chance of an upset on this map. Like, although you do make the point of the weaker T side from LYNGBY Vikings against Sprout when there was the head-to-head on Dust 2, I think that's not quite a common occurrence, because when you look at the stats line, their T side's actually very even with their CT bases. I know that they've had quite a big losing streak on Dust 2 for the Danes. I think it's been 5 in a row now, but they have been very close. We've seen an OT in the mix. We've seen most of the maps that they've lost on Dust 2 in a row now, sort of going 27, 28, 29 rounds. So we do know that they have quite a competent Dust 2, even if the stats don't tell the big picture. But I think we just need to see Sprout just having a bit more finesse, Jay. And I know that we kind of speak about that a little bit, because when you think that they only won 6 rounds in that first half, 3 of them was the pistol, the anti-eco conversion, and the follow-up to get that 3-0 start.
Pistols coming through here once again. Sprout to try and equalize if they can get the pistol and conversions. Of course, as you mentioned, there was 3 rounds before LYNGBY Vikings really got going, so I'm going to try to do a similar sort of situation here. If not, just try and get the momentum out right. Pistol round coming through. Blocks out towards the A site. Rawls gets that first kill. Dennis forced away. Incendiary's up. Cressy follows suit on towards the man. 4 versus 4. Slacks is low. Fasher gets Cressy. Wrap around from the long control from Fasher. Does get shut down by Farven. So 3-on-3 retake set in now for the CT side.
That's an important kill, because there is a lot of low HP players, at least for Slacks. NATO Safig's putting that molly down, just going to try and slow the push down. But look, he had the information. He heard the footsteps out from the Xbox players. They now know it's got to be a short play.
Good Glock shot to try and force these players away. Bang in. Position he's dropped down. Steve Spinny taps through. Can't get the shots off. He's got plenty of backup behind him, though. And Rylax can support, taking out Speedy as NATO gets Farven. And we are 10 to the board of LYNGBY. Big pistol to win in this one. So close to the end of the map up at this stage. And, you know, with this pistol going their way, Sprout have got an awkward force back here. Galils will be in for the T-side line. The scout also out for NATO. Still, this is one of those rounds that it's going to be pivotal for both sides, just because Sprout could try and swing momentum back to their favor, destroying the loss bonus. But LYNGBY up to try and continue its own momentum back into the victory row position. 3 for 2 trade, actually. CT side out towards mid control, shutting down several, but overall LYNGBY Vikings coming out on top.
No, those were some really chaotic duels out from mid. Sprout had the approach of going very aggressive to try and deal with their own force buy, but it was just LYNGBY Vikings that every time a player fell, there was always an advantage going their way. Long being contested, cross smokes going through, even molly down on towards the site. Sprout have to really rely on Cressy. He's been seen over the top of that smoke. Spinny's really got to save here. There's no way that he could try and clutch out a 1v3. Put that molly down to maybe hope to do some damage, but his best bet's to hold on to this weapon, surely. Or not.
He's going for it. Lots offset Spinny towards this goose position. Force one T-side player out of the way, at least he's going to attempt to. Sees one of Rylax in the back lines, gets shut down immediately, and yeah, you're right, that was the best play for him to save onto that weapon, but no Galil, no rifle, no buy for Sprouts. I mean, I say that, and Farven's brought a Deagle down, so it could be an upgrade pistol. He's got the money for it, but still, they need the rifles going forward into the first gun round in round 19. LYNGBY Vikings are going to get real close towards this edge here. Again, looking to grind up to the all-important set of rounds that they need. Good reactions from NATO, getting Spitty to fall. Starting things off well enough for the T side.
Oh, we certainly saw in the Sprout versus Exethereal game on Dust 2 in the best of 1 earlier on today, a lot of tags and kills actually coming through from scout players from both the T and CT respected side through the mid peaks. So it does look as if it's going to be continuing going into the second half for LYNGBY. 5-round lead at this point, and you've got to think, you know, we've spoken about some of the past performances from LYNGBY, but really, like, if they can convert Dust 2 here, they set themselves up in such a beautiful position going forward into their map pick of Vertigo, which is up next.
Smokes up. Ooh, AK taking some damage. So is Bird from Sky. Do cross successfully to the site, though. One plant yet to be received by the MAC-10 here. He's playing closely, expecting some sort of AK presence. That is going to cost him here, actually. His Fash is going to go down. And now the bomb is completely isolated towards the site. That Molotov should extend towards the elevator corner. Cressy doesn't go down for it, though. Dennis finally goes falling back. First frag and second for Bird from Sky. Rolls will fall back to return, but they are losing players here. The T's need to get the bomb down, need to force the issue on the round itself, because there are a number of rifles that have dropped, and the CTs can pick up a couple of them.
Yeah, Fafin and Speedy might as well just try their attempt at the retake. Like, it's only an eco round, so any damage they do to the T side is only going to do further damage in the long term. I'm trying to get a hold of this economy situation. Rylax's attention being pulled away, but still looks back down onto Speedy. Fafin now in a 1v2. A lot of damage ensuing here from Sprout with a very light investment. If they can get away with one more kill, that would be great. No, not quite going to happen. 12, though, on the board for the Danes. And you can just feel the momentum really shifting in favor of the LYNGBY Vikings side. I'd really like to see a tactical here from Sprout. You know, down a big deficit amount of rounds. It's their map pick. No one's really popping off individually. You've got Bird from Sky, who's 21-9. The highest fragger from Sprout is Dennis on 14, which is just not even close.
Yeah, we're looking real good right now for the LYNGBY Vikings. They have had some real good moments. Bird from Sky especially, man. Like, he has had a life game here on Dust 2. And it has boded well for the LYNGBY Vikings. I think a lot rests in this rifle round as well. If LYNGBY can take it, then I feel like they're going to be in with the map victory. With how close this has gotten, with how much Sprout will get shut down on the economy basis. The Danes going so far as to even up the same rounds that they got in their previous best of 3 in the previous time they played Dust 2. One more would already better on their results. Good shot from Slackstow, looking to try and put a small thorn in their side.
That's an important kill. Slack's now at least taking a bit of pressure away from Sprout with that first pick. And Rylax's already down to 52 points of health, taking a fair bit early on. The LYNGBY Vikings leaning into towards this short control. Now, there's no real eyes on this vision, with no mid control being at least taken or spotted on. And a very passive A site. It's almost like Sprout are playing retake here. You've got a player towards Car from Slacks, but his attention's being pulled over from Long.
Smokes up and over. Bird from Sky going to be the leaning of the charge. Slacks, upsets, no shots connecting. These two players backing off the flashbangs over. They're still at the 5-on-4 advantage here, Sprout, so it could go for a decent retake, especially as Bird from Sky goes down. Top fragger taken out. Orb can't respond. Rules does find Dennis, so it's a 2-for-1 trade.
Yeah, Farfan just sneaking in from CT, and oh, is he spotted here from NATO Safix? I don't think he is. They do have the short control, at least on the T side.
They are being heard. That jump face almost cost him his life. He just escapes with 29 HP, but now here come the CT side. One player close behind these short boxes, ducks down, gonna wait for a flashbang to come in place. Then it goes down. 2 players to line up. No, Farvan takes the trade, and Rolls is way too far away. He can't deny the bomb unless he blind fires. He's gonna grab that AWP and save it as a result. Sprout will get away with a rifle round, 7th to the board of the CT side.
Yeah, look, that's a big play there from Rouse. Realizes, you know what? 1v3 is not going to happen. He was the one that was lurked down to CT. They lose their teammates on the site. They lose NATO Safex and just recover that AWP. Money's not in a fantastic position here at all for the T's. They will be able to buy back, but even their IGL is going to be on just a deagle. So there is certainly that reset potential from the Danes. Sprout. Not only was it the opening pick that looked great, Jay, but it was actually Dennis out from CT that really put so much more advantages into that round. Fasher just going out with a flashbang with his teammate, and those were two very easy opening kills.
The AWP's also flashed off angle, seen there towards the side. Fasher just one taps his way to victory. Shoxy would be proud. 5 versus 2. As Rylax moves up here out of the upper tunnel, sees one player. Can't quite get his same one taps, but he's done enough. Eventually finds it on Farfan, actually. And Spinny with one trade. Just now needs to grab the AK. Maybe get some exit frags, but he's out of this round. It's going to be a 13 for LYNGBY. And that might hurt Sprout even harder. Not back a peg on the lost bonus. And the rifles mostly falling out of most players. In the end, Spinny will also drop.
Got to eco.
I think, yeah, like this is going to get real close to the end.
Ooh, let's have a look at these odds.
Oh.
Jeez. 8.5 up for Sprout from our good betting partners of Paramatch. Do make sure to fire up the game with a special bonus. Look at the details on the banner below and sign up to a 100% bonus on your deposit for certain regions. Have a look to see if you can get involved. Sprout, though, going to be on the eco and is just going to be, well, what looked like it was a B-side exit. Very aggressive out from mid, actually, from the CTs.
Eagle looking in. Rules holds the mid control. Expecting someone to push up from the Sprout side, but it is a deco. Be very careful with how they want to get up close and personal. It's better to try and take the duels at long range positions. LYNGBY Vikings. Long position with Rolls taking face. Smoke down off. Oh, Slacks! 3 big Deagle kills! And NATO once again left to clutch it. 1 versus 1. Bombs dropped on site, needs to get picked up and planted here. Molotov on short, Dennis is creeping up close. He's already at Rab. NATO's got his back turned. He has absolutely no idea! And still, he connects that headshot! Oh my god, the Orphan Deagle plays today! Absolutely destroying my heart!
I'm sorry, Jay. Is this the grand final or is this the Group D winners match? What's going on here? We are seeing so many crazy plays from both sides. Slacks as Deagle. Imagine how he's feeling after he does that, and they still don't convert the round. He's got to be devastated.
Oh boy. LYNGBY straight into the B bomb site, not even wasting any time. Want to take that momentum in the clutch, carry it straight towards the next rifle round. And Spiddy will get the opener as Rylax shuts him back down. Molotov just past the window area. Farvan will get picked off by Rolls. That lurk coming through, as you mentioned. 4 versus 3 for LYNGBY. Sprout locked out of the site, and I think they're locked out of the round.
I want to say they're locked out of this best of 3, Jade. Sprout, I thought the second half, once they won that gun round, like, I thought that was them. I thought that was them back, and they've only managed 1 CT round in this second half. Really, it is a disappointing performance from Sprout when you think that they won pistol, anti-eco, and conversion to get 3-0. They've only managed 4 out of the last ever rounds outside of that start. It's just not enough for a team that are trying to push forward into the Tier 1 landscape, that have been towards the top end of Tier 2 for so long now, and to just be pounced on their map pick on Dust 2 against LYNGBY Vikings. It's the ultimate revenge.
Tactical for Sprout. 8 map points to deal with. LYNGBY on to take Sprout's pick of Dust 2.
Jeez.
Who would have thunk it? I wonder what the morale must be like with the Sprout side, because like they've suffered to so much like so far in this game. You know, like real good plays. LYNGBY Vikings looking on point.
Yeah.
All pace clutches on insane quick scopes to heads that should never be landed by any human being in the world. I have to question whether NATO Suffix is an android or not, but. Yeah, AWP out for Slacks, AWP out for NATO. Quick out towards the longhouse, and they're facing full resistance. Dennis with an awkward spray, has Slacks to back him up. Slacks does get traded, that AWP falls. Dennis able to hold alongside his teammates, doubles up, makes it a triple in the end. The smoke back, leaving NATO with an AK and a clutch for him one more time. 1v3, can get the bombs across the sides. Can't find his kills though, he's done so much damage towards these players though. Transfers towards Dennis, and the Deagle gets so close towards Spiddy, but he ducks out the way.
This could be another clutch. How does he play this 1v2? Oh, is he going to aggress out from short? If he beats the rotation, then that could turn it into a 1v1. Spiddy down in CT while Fafan's actually going for the wraparound. There is a bit of an avenue where he can actually go over to the B site, Jay.
How much noise is he going to make? How much info is he going to give away? He's got no ammo in the AK. Got to reload it on the way back. That's what he'll do. They didn't hear it. Oh my god. And they won't hear the bomb plant either, so they're probably going to suspect real quickly that he's here on the B bomb site, giving away no info whatsoever. We'll just go for the plant out. Do they realize it, or will they come back to the B site immediately?
Oh,
they're
no.
acting towards the A play.
They know now.
Oh my god. Okay, they realize it. Okay. NATO, however, has taken his opportunity with this blind spot exploited to get towards scaffolding. Got Farven and Spitty both coming from the mid position. Swing out, sees them both, and NATO gets shut down. Clutch attempt not going to be allowed, as we will see an 8th to the board of the Sprout side. Yeah,
look, well played there from Sprout. They're just probably waiting to pick up that AWP too, make sure they get on that defuse and get an 8th round forward. But look, for NATO Suffix, I almost felt that maybe LYNGBY Vikings were too hungry there. They just kept fighting. We saw the initial early contact out from Longhouse. It was super aggressive. And rather than just kind of backing off, once they had like a 3-on-3, they just kept swinging over and over and over again. And it was Dennis really to do the majority of the damage with that AUG, trying to back off towards the CT cutoff. And Sprout, now this is all just survival rounds for them. Has to be.
Indeed it does. Molotov's out, LYNGBY making their way up and into the short control. Smoke down onto the CT cross as Fasher drops down. Oh, good shot from Slacks. Dead before he hits the floor. And now down to 16 HP as the AK still holds Slacks. However, still connecting his shots. The plant could be secured, but they've gained a 2-man advantage.
And they've got a late lurk towards this top mid position from Rouse, and he's got to be on for something. He's got to be on for a couple of kills to really bring the advantage back. They're checking him, but he finds that first kill. Can't quite make it a second.
Trade good, still 2-man advantage for the CT side. The AK, the Galil, I should say, hunting for a pick back here towards Long, taking damage from the firefights. NATO goes falling. It's all on Rylax to try hold. They might have heard a footstep. They might know where he is. Still suppressed towards short control. It's on towards Long as the main concern. Rylax holds down, takes a frag back. They're dead out of time. Slacks is going to go falling. They're going to get a kill, but have they got time? I don't think they do!
No.
LYNGBY!
No way!
One player holds the backline and clutches it once again. 16-8. They've got Dust 2. They've taken Sprout's map pick in this best of 3.
What a performance. I'm just really shocked. That was well done from LYNGBY Vikings. You know, they had it all. They had the finesse. They had some really big plays coming through. A couple of nice clutches, but overall, like pushing the big plays aside, they were consistent, right? They kept fighting opening man advantages. I thought the Bird from Sky was reading the game incredibly well. We saw some great rotations. Overall, I'm really thrilled that LYNGBY Vikings are a team that signed 3 players less than a month ago, and they're playing some really solid Counter-Strike.
Absolutely, and it's like you consider the consistency with the big plays aside. You put the big plays in, you get a 16-8 result on Dust 2, on a map that they struggled against Sprout in the past, on a map that's Sprout's consistent pick, a map that LYNGBY Vikings just don't have a basis for whatsoever. They've just won it in this best of 3. And honestly, I think that this may well be a really good series for them. I honestly think that this could be a 2-0. Really could be a 2-0 with Vertigo coming up next. This is the LYNGBY Vikings map pick. So stick with us here on the EDC as we come back. We could be about to decide the 7th team through the playoffs, so don't go anywhere.